wing shooting destinations of the world, steeped in tradition, offering the pinnacle of shotgun sport. Tour the planet with us.
Hi, I'm Chris Barther. Welcome to southern Germany and Ulm, a town on the side of the River Danube and home to one of the finest gun makers in the world, Krieghoff.
A fine firearm is often referred to as a working piece of art. It embodies the finest in both craftsmanship and functionality, and those who are in the business of creating this art can become recognized worldwide for their skill. Krieghoff, to shooting competitors, is such a top name in the fine firearms business. Every year, the world's best shooters, those bringing home the medals, are frequently doing so with a Krieghoff on their shoulder.
My son was the 2005 Junior National Champion. We're very proud of that, and he did that shooting a K80. But the guns never let us down. And if you ever need anything from Krieghoff, you call the company, and the service is world class. It's simply the best. And you'll hear that from every K80 owner.
For myself, shooting a Krieghoff, I like to compare it to a gun that's on rails. It's in any gun, there's an inherent life in it, and with a Krieghoff, it has a balance and a handling that I can only say is steady. It's not like some of the Italian guns that is very light and responsive, almost like a Ferrari. It's difficult to explain unless you're a shooter, and there's many out there shooting and they understand exactly what I mean. The reliability, the crispness of the trigger pulls are just awesome. That mechanical trigger compared to an inertia block is a big benefit. But it's the way the gun swings. Once you start it moving, it keeps moving. There's no need to emphasize follow through. The gun does it for you. You don't have to work hard with a Krieghoff. You can hard focus on the target and the gun will do the job for you. It's a pleasure to shoot. It's a gun that will get you that one extra target that's going to win you a championship.
Chris Barther is in Ulm, Germany to tour the Krieghoff factory and find out for himself what makes that name so popular among the best competitive wing shooters in the world.
This is where it all begins. This is the drafts room, or nowadays the computer room. And the K80 has been loaded onto this computer and every little wrinkle's been worked out on it. Any modifications to improve it have been made. From here, it goes to a secondary computer and it's turned into machine talk that operates the machine that cuts the action and component parts. This machine is incredible. It takes this cold forged billet of steel, self-loads it, takes it, places it into this computer-controlled cutting machine. It has over 200 tools, works 24 hours, 7 days a week, and will cut that cold, solid forged billet into a K80 action. Unbelievable work, and would have took months of drudgery with a man with a cold chisel and file and a milling machine, and now is done in a matter of hours. And not only done in a matter of hours, it was done to amazing tolerances that aren't achievable by hand. But now we go from here and take one of these frames with us, and we're going to go and look at how the tradition comes into making a K80.
We produce a year around 2,000 guns, and we make 50% hunting guns and 50% sporting guns. We start with a lot of modern machines manufacturing, with a lot of modern construction, but more important is the craftsmanship. We have a lot of master gunsmiths, engravers, dog makers, and they give each Krieghoff gun the unique, typical Krieghoff style. Every gun is a complete individual gun. That means if a customer comes to Krieghoff International, to a gun shop on every place in the world, they will give us a call and they tell us what the customer like, which wood grade, which different engraving, which barrel, which caliber, and we produce complete individual this gun for this special sportsman or for this special hunter.
I showed you the cold forging in the machine. Well, that's what comes out of the machine. The K80 frame. All of the blind holes, everything precision cut to within the finest tolerances. That's where the reliability comes from, that computer controlled engineering. But it needs a lot of tradition and a lot of good gun making skills to take this into the K80 I showed you earlier.
This is Ulm, Germany. It's a city of nearly 200,000 people and home to the Ulmer Münster, the tallest church in the world. At more than 530 feet high, a trek up all 768 steps on a clear day gives a magic view of the Swiss Alps.
1945, by the end of the Second World Wars, here Ulm, all destroyed. But the church, not destroyed. The people here say it was the hand of God.
We're at the front of the Ulm Münster, and this is a sundial that has all the destinations in the world and their distances from here at home in southern Germany. And as you can see, I'm 770 kilometers from London, my home, and something like about 6,380 kilometers from Savannah, which is my other home. And I can't say this is the most fantastic experience. There's live bands on, there's fantastic entertainment, the River Festival. This is the third Monday in July, and I tell you, I came here to film the Krieghoff family. This is a bonus, and I wanted to share a little bit of it with you.
Chris Batha is in Germany at just the right time. Every July there's a festival in Ulm that attracts thousands to the Danube River, which runs through the heart of the city.
The third Monday of July every year is a centuries-old tradition going back to the 13th, 14th century, nobody's quite sure when. And it's the swearing Monday, where the Lord Mayor of the city of Ulm swears to the people that he will uphold their values and their taxation, and promises to be a good mayor. And so what happens is the people have took on a festival, a water festival, where they all go down to the River Danube, and they launch dinghies, boats, Viking boats, umpire bands, I mean orchestras. You cannot believe the excitement, and what a fantastic experience it is. Then they proceed to try and drown each other with buckets and buckets of water. You know, it's impossible to keep dry. Along with that, in these beautiful squares and streets surrounding the river, are wonderful beer tents and you know, sausage bars, and you know, you can buy bratwurst, and I mean, there's great parties going on, live bands. It's just an incredible family experience and just wonderful. And one of the perks of the job that we happen to arrive here on the third Monday of July to visit the Krieghoff factory, and we're taking every advantage we can of enjoying the experience for the city, you know, the citizens of Ulm.
In addition to being the birthplace of Albert Einstein, Ulm is also where you'll find the Krieghoff Gun Factory, the top choice of competition shooters across the globe. It's a lofty reputation to uphold, but based on the number of shooters, world-class shooters who shoot Krieghoff, it's a reputation that's rock solid.
We've been first known for European hunting guns, but about 40 years ago we seriously looked at competition shotguns. Shotguns you would be using for clay target shooting, such as trap, skeet and sporting clays. And today here we're at a World Championship of sporting clay shooting called the FITASC World Championship, where we have the best of the world really competing. And we, again, quite fortunate to say that we have a number of competitors in the race using our equipment. So it's kind of fun to see the product we manufacture to be used here on the highest level.
Any gun or anything, any company, take a car company, is judged by the people who drive that car or shoot that gun, and it does tell you exactly what Krieghoff is when you look at the quality of shooter, world class. If you added up the medals, the championships, the world champions, the national champions, state champions, and so on, it's an incredible pedigree, and it's a long, incredible pedigree, and that sums Krieghoff up: durability, reliability, and form and function. This is where technology meets tradition. This line of time-served craftsmen are going to turn that technology we've been witnessing into one of the finest traditionally built guns in the world today. First, the barrels. We've laid the ribs and now we're striking off the excess solder, and they're going to be struck up, which means polished, ready for blacking in the finishing rooms. And we're going to move on to see how my action's coming along. The action's progressing nicely, coming along, all the component parts, and like any good craftsman, he makes the job look supremely easy. What we're doing here is what's referred to as the signing of the stock in German, but what I'd say is laying out. First of all, we're going to do the length of the pull, then we're going to do the drop at the comb, the heel and the Monte Carlo, and afterwards we're going to assign the pitch, work out the pistol grip, and this young man, who's a lot braver than me, is going to take a draw file to it and cut those shapes out of the stock, which, as I say, it's a braver man than me. A question often asked is what makes a gun worth $75,000 and another worth $5,000? And a lot of people can't see the difference, and quite honestly they both go bang and do the same job. But it's all in the fit, form and function. And we're talking about lock, stock and barrel. We're talking over 600 hours of human personal attention to a gun. From the lock maker that hand cuts and hand polishes the locks, to the stock maker that heads the stock up, hand cuts the stock and hand checkers stock and fore end, and then to the barrel maker that puts the barrels together and strikes them up true, creating a gun of exquisite beauty both in engraving and in Circassian walnut, and balance and handling unsurpassed. A gun like this is no different in function to the $5,000 gun, but what makes it a $75,000 gun? It's functional art, the fact that it's a work of beauty, a work of craftsmanship like a Swiss watch, but at the same time can be taken into the field and enjoyed, and if it's looked after properly, handed down through generations to give hundreds of years of use and pleasure to people to come.
The difference between harvesting a game bird for your table and fully experiencing the sport of wing shooting is difficult to explain. The result is the same, a dead bird. But how you arrive there, your emotional involvement, and ultimately the memories that you take away are far, far different. Part of truly experiencing wing shooting sport is knowing the story and the history of the shotgun that you choose to shoot. That's why through the ages, wing shooters who can afford it order custom-built best guns.
What makes the best gun? What makes the best gun is the life in the gun, the handling, what they refer to as the MOI, the moment of inertia. The gun's life comes from the people who work on it. In total, we're clocking up somewhere around 1,000 hours of human endeavour in this gun. Every one of those little minutes gives this gun a unique feel, quality and life. So you end up with the best gun. But as a performance, though it is aesthetically pleasing, it's absolutely functional and it can be taken out and enjoyed. I call it functional art, the fact that you can admire it, but you can still use it and shoot it, put it back in the gun cabinet and admire it again. That's what makes the best gun best, the people who make it.
This is Valtrompia, Italy, home of FAMARS. It's a place where fine craftsmanship and individualized service go hand in hand.
We moved in this location in 1990. We built this building because we wanted to have lights and have room to do. When you work with the quality, you need to have everything organized. And I personally hate to see all the gun manufacturer places where they were working because they were dirty. So I said we want to do something completely different. I want to see everything organized and clean. And of course, lights is very important when you work with such little things and details. And And also we decided to move here because we wanted to buy the machines and to give a completely different set to the company. So before we had outside supplier who was producing the parts from us, and as we are picky, we didn't like what the other people were doing, so we do it our way.
With the advent of new technology, there's laser engraving, there is laser checkering, and there is even faux or fake veneers on woods or finishes, and so the custom shotgun is more accessible. For $5,000–6,000 you can buy a gun that looks very much like a gun that costs 10 times or 20 times that price, but the difference is in the form and the function. It's a work of art, the hand engraving, the hand checkering, the hand wood to metal finish. This engraving was done by a young up-and-coming engraver, Diego Bonzi, B-O-N-Z-I. He's one of the new great engravers. He was charging as much as $15,000 to engrave a gun now. This is a Celtic scroll pattern. This is very desirable in the difficulty in laying out the scroll symmetrically so that it will all balance throughout the gun. And then we go on into the walnut, which is Circassian walnut. Being a competition gun, it has an adjustable comb to allow me to shoot different disciplines. The walnut will be probably anywhere up to 300 years old from the ball of the walnut root, and then it would have been cut and air dried for up to 6 years before being hand shaped and hand oil rubbed and hand checkered on this gun. The barrels are of particular interest. Their backboard have longer forcing cones and are fitted with a Briley very long Series 1 taper technology choke tubes. All in all, an amazing competition gun, and one I'm proud to own.
In the making of a fine gun, one split second of inattention can turn a work of art into scrap. With the incredible artistry, it's easy to forget the gun's functionality is at least as important as its beauty. If the gun won't shoot where you point it, all the pretty in the world isn't going to make up for it.
The names of the great English gun makers, i.e. James Purdy and Son, the Italian from Ars, Adriatico and Salvinelli, and of course the very, very old and one of the finest gun companies in Germany, Krieghoff. They just mean excellence. Excellence in not only function but form. The guns are magnificent, beautiful works of art. You can look at them, admire them, and you can take them out and they function as well as they look. It's a pretty gun.
Thank you very much.
From Mars.
I've never shot this gun before.
Well, first time lucky. Let's see if we can't kill a bird with the first shot, eh? That's only pressure, isn't it?
No, just a little, thank
just
you.
A little.
From the time a custom gun is ordered until it's delivered to its anxious owner's hands can easily be a year or more. You can't rush this kind of art.
Books by authors like Michael McIntosh, the media like Shooting Sportsman, and events like the Vintage Cup have created a much greater public awareness of the investment potential of fine guns. And the public have taken to this, and it's just amazing how the crowds have grown at these shows, and that the number of gun shops and the upsurge in popularity and investment in fine guns. We're very lucky that Dieter Krieghoff, one of the finest gun makers in the world, has come from Germany. Dieter and I met in Iwa earlier this year, and he showed me a little box lock that the company is going to put into production. And Dieter, could you tell me a little bit more about it?
Yeah, you know, Chris, you know that we're known for our clay target shotguns, but this is something really new and exciting for us. It's a box lock game gun, round body action here. Everything is nice and round and sculptured, as you see. We bring that in 28 inches, 20 gauge frame here at this moment. You can have it in 16 or in 12 or even in 28 gauge.
Can I ask you some questions about the engraving? This deep foliate scroll is magnificent. Who did it and where?
Yeah, well, we're fortunate that this is more of a German style engraving, which came out really, really nice. It's a little heavier, as you see, but in combination with the case colors, you can still see that engraving. It comes through, and it came out quite attractive, and as you see, it's followed through onto the barrels a little bit.
While the final steps of finishing a fine gun are excruciatingly detailed and time-consuming, they are undoubtedly what make each gun a true, one-of-a-kind masterpiece.
It's hard to tell. So when somebody turns around and they say to you, you know, like, I can shoot well with a $750 gun, why should I pay $75,000 for one? It's an hard argument because they both go bang and they both perform well. But it's a pride of ownership. It's something that if you have the spare capital to do so and you're a passionate hunter, it's something that's individually yours. It's just a fantastic thing to be able to start from scratch and basically design it like you would design your perfect house. Design that perfect hunting weapon that suits you and your hunting lifestyle. And as a customer once said to me, one's life's too short to shoot an ugly gun. The thing about fine guns is that the attention to detail from when you think of walnut from Turkey and steel from Germany, and you've got tubes coming from Belgium, and it's all put together lock, stock and barrel by workmen and craftsmen of superlative skills, and they put together basically a masterpiece. And just like a painting on a wall, they're putting together just a work of art. You can admire it and other people will admire it. It will increase in value over the years. It will never wear out. They've actually created the everlasting gun. And the fact is, it's still functional. You can take it out and use it for what it was always intended to hunt.